No, it's right there. He was right here.
You did say stuff the other side. You did tell me that it's on the other side. Yeah, right.
Can we get back together so we can go home? We're in the middle of our zone report. We read zone 1 and still.
Okay, I have one more item. This is much lighter. So thank you for going on that ride with me. I thought those were areas of important discussion, but I wanted to bring up Arbor Day 2024. That will be happening Saturday, January 20th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. There will be a tree planting ceremony at 8:45 a.m. at Blake Park to kick off the event. We hope that you'll come out and join us and get one free tree per household. You do need proof of residency, whether it's an ID or a water bill, something to that effect. We are giving out live oaks, winged elm, and sweetbag magnolia. We will have certified arborists on site and other folks from the Lake Helen Garden Club and the Lake Helen Lake Committee who are knowledgeable and will be able to help answer any questions you may have, as well as a brochure prepared to answer any questions you have about the spacing needed, etc. And I want to go ahead and thank our sponsors one more time. Troy Building, Beery Roofing, Jeff and Debbie Ritchie, Tree Work Now, Waste Pro, Collins Built Pools, Duke Energy, and White House Contracting. Thank you so much for making this event free to our taxpayers, and we hope that you'll come out and join us. Thanks so much.
I want to bring up the 5 city properties on conservation zoning again. I know it's kind of like up to the PLDRC and us to decide on it, and I was talking with some people, with the attorney and Lee about it, and I think because the 5 properties that I requested for conservation zoning are part of a 14-property section of Lake Helen, starting at Main Street and I-4 and running all the way to Lake Macy. I would like to have a workshop to have input and keep everything above board from the rest of the commissioners about the property to include. The properties include a stream, swamp, and adjacent lands that need conservation for a water recharge area. And I would like, there's a couple options we can go through to do it. If we just designate them as conservation zones in Lake Helen, it still leaves it open for future. Somebody in the future could, bring it up to sell the property and have it built on still. The other option is if we turn it over to the Volusia Forever program and sign the rights of building on the property to them. I think that's what's called the rights of building.
Development rights.
Yeah, development rights for the property. Then that will permanently make it conservation property so that it won't get developed on it. So I would like to have a discussion with the commissioners on, a workshop on their opinion and which way we should go with these properties. I prefer the latter, but some people don't. The other one I have, the Massey James Center is having their Give from the Heart food drive. It ends on February 22nd. They will be having their Give from the Heart luncheon from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Massey James Center located on Church Street. Their special request this year is for peanut butter, jellies, cereal, tea, and coffee. And of course, they will accept any non-perishable foods that people can still use. So, anybody's thinking about anything? And I'm going to offer it also, if you don't want to drive all the way out there, you can drive it off at the American Legion, and we'll make sure that they get it.
a workshop with Zach to start looking at a variance report. This has been going on. I know I brought it up 4 times, and Robin's brought it up 1 time. It looks like it's going to happen. We have a date, February 8th, I believe it is, Roxanne, at 6 p.m. So we can look at some variance reports. It should be just very simple, actually. I think we shouldn't need to look at more than 2 variance reports. So that's what we're working on. Also, I have a question for Mr. Simpson. I thought in the last meeting, as we were talking about properties for the Forever program, that you stated that we really didn't have to go through the PLDRC on some of these properties that have been nominated.
I don't remember having that conversation.
So we have to go through the PLDRC on some
Well,
of these
I
that have
think
been
if
nominated.
what Roger was initially talking about was doing rezoning, changing the land use and zoning. And
Yes.
that would require going through the PLDRC. But no, if you wanted to sell development rights to Volusia Forever, I don't think that would need to go to the PLDRC. Because then you're doing that as a property owner.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think that's what, yeah, I know.
And maybe that's what we're, yeah. And the reason, Roger and I talked about it, you can change zoning and land use, and then the next commission can change it back. It's not permanent. Zoning is not permanent, land use isn't permanent, but when you sell your development rights, that's permanent. And so if it's the desire to make these particular parcels, in essence, forever conservation, then that's the way to do it.
And so we have some residents currently already stating that they want to sell the property for the Forever program. So should we identify those properties that just want to go ahead and sell it and not have to go through the PLDRC?
The properties that we were talking about, the PLDRC, were owned by the city,
Oh, okay,
not properties owned by third parties.
okay.
We don't initiate rezonings for properties owned by third parties. This was just city-owned properties.
City owned.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it was large properties, there's a state program that you can do, because Volusia Forever runs out money pretty quickly. I don't know how well funded, are they funded right now, or, I'm not sure. How much
For the
cash.
next 25 years.
Yeah, but they just seem to run out pretty quickly of their money each year. But the only reason we have that conversation is if the city truly wants to take 5 parcels, and obviously as long as the city owns the properties, that property will not be developed or changed unless the city decides to do that. But you could have a commission in the future, it's always a different commission, decide, hey, let's sell this to a developer and get the money and do something else with that money. If this commission says we want to make sure that never happens, then if you sell the development rights off to, whether it's Volusia Forever, there may be some other type of environmental protection group that has funding that does that, then you have made that property to stay in a conservation state forever. That's, I guess, why they call it Volusia Forever. It will forever be that way.
Okay. All right, we have to think about that. One other thing I would like to bring before the commission is, obviously, I've only been in this area 3 years. There's been a lot of talk from a lot of my constituents on where are we going. There's so many different ideas out there on what people want Lake Helen to look like. How much commercial property? Do they want it to be more of a bedroom community of, let's say, the land? Or more of a Lake Mary look, what they've done with their downtown area, a boutique look. I think that it would be very important for the commission to get together in a workshop and discuss where do we want to go, make plans, and then start heading in that direction. Because right now what I see is they're just going in circles. So if the commission would be willing to let's do that, so we can get some kind of a program and to look at what we and the citizens truly want for the city. I think that would be a good thing. We're going to be proving that we're listening to the citizens, we are planning on moving forward. So I'd like to put that out to the commission, of whether or not we'll be interested in
If
it.
I may, we have a downtown master plan, we also have the gateway corridor guidelines. I think those clearly outline, especially the downtown master plan, there's clear designations for art, structures, commercial buildings, what they can look like, etc. And that took a lot of input from the citizens. I'm not sure if you're referring just specifically to those areas or overall, but that may help cover some of that.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that, but we're not moving forward with the master plan. So I would think the master plan might be more.
There is some problems with the master plan in their designations of the commercial areas includes residential, and that's where we're running into a problem. People buying a property to build residential instead of doing it for a business with residential. So that's where the master plan runs into a problem, and we've got to adjust our zoning that's included in the master plan and change that so that it gets the commercial input instead of the residential.
Well, one of the difficult things about, a lot of times cities call what you're talking about then is visioning, visioning workshops, things like that, is ultimately that then goes into your comprehensive plan, and then your land development regulations implement the comprehensive plan. But once the land development regulations include zoning, but to actually implement it takes the property owners. We can put together, this is the zoning, this is what you can do here, but whether or not the property owner wants to do it, that we can't force them to do it. And then you get issues with property rights. If we say an area is going to be, should really be more residential, but it's currently zoned commercial, it's not good for the city to unilaterally go and change a property owner's zoning without their request. Because you can get into what are called Burt J. Harris claims. If you change the value of their property without their request, it does expose the city to some potential liability. So usually the changes we put that are available need to be requested by the property owners so we know they want it, they can't sue us for us imposing it on them. You just got to be careful with it gets down to the implementation. We can put all these rules in place, but then we got to allow the property owners to come forward and actually implement the rules.
So then basically, what I'm hearing, I may be wrong on it, the master plan seems to fall into the visioning plan.
Correct.
So it's really not much value at this time.
If you don't take a master plan, visioning plan, you don't incorporate it into your comprehensive plan, your land development regulations, it really doesn't have much effect. It gets effect through the comprehensive plan changes and the land development regulations. And I'm pretty sure all that was redone when Becky was the administrator, I think, or 2018.
Yeah.
It was all redone in 2018. The new comprehensive plan, and then we did a lot of changes to our land development regulations. And not to say that more changes aren't needed, nothing's perfect, that's for sure, and things change. And then you get laws like the state passed, where we have a vision of what we think is going to happen over there on the other side of I-4. Then all of a sudden the state says, oh, you know what, the property owner can do a whole bunch of other things that you never really thought of. That makes it tough too. So, but it's always good to have the workshop to talk about so you can see this is what our plans currently provide for. This is what we think, because you have something called your future land use map in your comprehensive plan, and that's really saying this is what the future, we see the future land use to be in the city. And so maybe some of those things we should need to be considered being adjusted or something like that. But that's where you see your visioning and everything come to fruition. Is through your comprehensive plan and then the land development regulations implement the comprehensive plan.
So then envisioning that, since we just spoke about visioning, it would be more of a temperature check once again to see where the citizens want to go
Yeah.
with the mission. This is what we can provide, or this is what we're envisioning for the city. Do you want it? You know, if the temperature is cold, then you just have to start revamping again. Okay. Wow. Okay. I want to thank Lee and Roxanne. We had a situation out in the villas where the owners received a water bill that was extremely high, but had been decided by the commission earlier, I don't know, last year, a couple of years ago, whenever. Fortunately, Lee remembered it, and they had received a $2,700 water bill for just 2 buildings. And so we got that straightened out, and the owners of the villas were very happy about it. So I thank you for that. That's pretty much what all I have for Braylon.
This weekend coming up is Martin Luther King Jr.'s celebration. There, I gave you something in your package on Saturday. There will be a gala. There's 2 things happening on the back. There's a newspaper article of the Martin Luther King birthday at noon at 2 p.m. at the Deltona Center. The Dream Keepers and African American Association of Deltona theme share our celebrations, celebrate our differences. Master ceremonies will be Bernie Burton, and the featured guest will be Marvin Dunn, Dr. Marvin Dunn. That's going to be at 12 noon. And then 6 o'clock is going to be the Martin Luther King Gala. That's, it'll be the gala, that's at 6 o'clock. 6 to 8:30, that's going to be at Stetson University, Ringo Field. Jojo O'Neill, the radio personality, will be the MC, and Don McClurkin, singer, will be the entertainer as well as the speaker. And then on Sunday, Mount Calvary Free Will Baptist Church will be the, I'm skipping over the 15th, where did I see it? The 15th will be the, instead of what they normally would have, would be the march from Stetson University to Earl Brown Park. They're going to have the march, but they're not going to have the breakfast before the march. They're going to be giving out sandwiches from Chick-fil-A, and then they're going to march all the way to Earl Brown Park. There will be vendors in the park. There will be celebrations at the stadium, at the their stage that they have there. And you all are invited. Those tickets are $75 a piece. The tickets on Saturday are 12 noon. I say these things just to get us to get more exposure outside of our city. One thing that I can attest to, we have Ricky Mullins, who has probably more contacts throughout the county than anybody we can even shake a stick at. And it's because he has diversified and reached out, and people know him, and hopefully they'll have a good opinion about our city. It's one thing that we can be glad to be in Lake Helen, want to keep things quiet, but we still have to deal with the larger community. I'm one of the mayors, let me see, the Monday I went to the round table of mayors in Daytona Beach, and they're dealing with some things that will be coming up in this is the legislative season that's open. And some of the things that came up, we're talking about resources that are, the city's resources are under attack. in Florida legislation. Homestead exemption bill, legislature is looking to extend property taxes, tax exemption by $25,000. If this goes into effect, voters will have to, how much is your city stand to lose based on what the percentage of your budget is that is generated by millage? So if you can take $25,000 off your property taxes, if you don't have to pay, then the city doesn't get it, then we have to figure out how we're going to make that work. What is the increase in millage? And what, if the millage were offset by the tax exemption, what will we have to do? I'm not going to go through all of these. I am on that board, and I will be going up to Tallahassee to legislate or to lobby our legislatures, because that is part of what we're going to be doing with the League of Cities. And just to let you know that there are some things that we will be able to deal with in not just the city of Lake Helen, but part of this organization. It's a good thing that the League of Cities will be having their first meeting here in Lake Helen on the 20th, not their first meeting, but our first meeting in a long time. There are 17 cities within the League of Cities in this particular league, and they will be coming into our city. We will meet and greet people who we probably may know or may not know, but we need to bring ourselves into the greater community, because this is not a one person fight. This is something that we're all going to have to take an active approach to. That's about it. I thank you all for coming. I just have one more thing. What was done on Monday, this was the League of Cities, Volusia County Roundtable of elected officials. What they were talking about here is water, of all things. Water that's relating to climate change, to seas of travel, encroaching into our cities. And it's not just from the coast, because whatever is happening on the coast is bubbling up from the bottom. I had to be able to bring that up as, I come from the city of Lake Helen, so what are you talking about? That means that we are going to have to, at some point or another, we're going to have to deal with water crises that are coming from underneath our water system. We are going to talk about stormwater, how the stormwater brings it into effect. So there's a lot of things that we're going to need to be addressing. And I just want to let you guys know that this is a working mayor, and I'm here for you. And if there's any more questions or anything else that anyone would like to say, going once. The dinner, the 25th of, you have anybody else, Roxanne?
What was the question?
On the League of Cities dinner on the 25th. Do you have any more information?
We're set to go.
It's on the calendar? Okay, now, I'll be honest with you, the League of Cities, this is actually their meeting, and for the generally what would normally happen is that they pretty much will put out their flyers, and the cities are all being aware of it, so we will be able to receive the information, and we will be reimbursed on what the, a certain percentage of $40 per, yeah, $40. But again, I just underscore that, this is your first meeting, but I can tell you that they pretty much have done this for years and years. So we being a host is pretty much what we're going to be providing the opportunity for them to basically have a meeting that also will have food. And that's what it's going to be. Okay, good. So you understand. There you go.
Yeah, some of the ones that I've attended, the host city is allowed to put on a presentation that addresses their city and promotes their city. So I was wondering if we had anybody in town that would put together a presentation that shows what our city's about, you know, the equestrian center, the parks, the 5K, our home tours, our Christmas lights, Butler Express, anything whatsoever that can go into a slideshow that we'd be able to show on the screen or wall.
I did ask them about putting together a presentation. The only issue is the facility doesn't have the AV equipment to do so. So in order to facilitate that, we would need to make sure that we
I can hear you.
read that.
They don't have,
The facility, Granville Farms does not have that equipment, AV equipment that would allow us to do so. So we would have to rent that equipment in order to facilitate a slideshow.
We have that
Projector or
equipment.
screen.
But we just need to know. It would have to match within the guidelines of the facility. So I spoke to her today about that. That doesn't mean it can't happen. Just be aware that there'd be an additional
Well,
cost.
we could do a flyer or something and hand it out to the participants.
I just mentioned, I forgot to mention that all of our commissioners have signed the proclamation for Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day. On the 15th, we're having two different organizations. We have the same proclamation for each. I won't read it because we've done these in the past. Pretty much they're standard, but it is a protocol that all the other cities usually participate. Sometimes, hopefully that we could either become a sponsorship for the parade, and there again, it's our logo on the banner that marches from Stetson over to the stadium. And that being said, let's move on. Presentation, what's the last thing we had to do? I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Yes, to you, Mr. Administrator. Maybe your last one, but we're glad to have you.
Let me, first item was pulled, the second one requested direction on overtime compensation. Reflecting on tonight, I think I'd rather discuss this with the new city administrator and come back to you in February with our thoughts rather than discuss it tonight. Then the next one after that is approval of a special request event that the American Legion has given us for a 5K. It's fairly routine. I would certainly recommend we do it, but it's up to the commission to approve. They are looking for porta potties to help with the process and support for the police department, which would be minimal.
Yeah, the same people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. I can't make a motion, but I can agree.
I make a motion. Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Canada, second. All right, Commissioner Bishop, vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I have to abstain because City Blues,
It's
it's a great area on whether,
Makes sense.
because it includes a monetary contribution to the Legion that the representative of.
That's it. All right, so we have 4 yeses and 1 abstention. Motion passes.
That's perfect. Last item is not on your agenda, but I handed it earlier. We would like to have the commission's approval to proceed with repairs to the water tower. As you recall, we need to have a high location for our new radio receiving and transmitting equipment for the water meters. The company that originally proposed the water meter sale had a price of $78,000. We could use the water tower for $22,000. So significantly less. We do have to make some repairs to the catwalk, the ladder. This $22,000 would make those repairs, but also weld on a harness for the antenna to go up beyond that. The company then, we would come back to you later with another proposal from the same company to repaint the water tower, including the seal. So when we're finished with both of those projects, we don't have the cost of the repainting yet, but the $22,000 we would repaint the catwalk, the ladder, all the repairs that are made. But when we're finished, we'll have an almost brand new looking tower. Ricky wants to put lights on the catwalk shining out of the seal. It should be a nice touch, I think, in the evening as well. So, but the first thing we need to do is get the catwalk and the ladder repaired. Is $22,000 is the estimate at this particular time. I'd like authorization to proceed with the company we already have a contract with. This is not a new company and not one we have to bid.
Okay, and then,
What's the name?
It's utility,
Rick,
It's USIG now, I think, isn't it? USG. It's formerly Suez, who they right now have our 3 hydro tanks under maintenance plans. They're gonna come back with an addendum to take care of the tower and do the same thing. So right now, we don't pay to have the hydro tanks painted or anything. It's in our maintenance plan. They figure it in every so many years, so you perpetual taking care of it. If you sign the addendum, that amount every year goes to it. That goes to repainting it all the time, refurbishing it when it needs to be done, take care of it. The only thing we're not going to get an addendum with is the inside, because we no longer use it for water. So there's no need, as they said, to use that. But we'll take care of the tower for as long as we want to pay it.
and Rick, the benefit of having the tower up there in terms of the water meter reading, did you explain that?
They have to have that antenna to bounce off. We actually use the water tower right now for SCADA to run the water plants. So we're actually using it right now. It's just a smaller antenna on one of the smaller legs right there up there. So this will allow the antenna to be on the top. It'll allow us to keep the tower if we go on this agreement maintenance plan for as long as we want to keep it. And that will satisfy the citizens here who want to keep it anyway. But it gives us a way to do it without going, we've got to put $75,000 out paying this year. Well, no, it's spread over years, and that's how they do our hydro tanks. We don't pay to have the hydro tanks painted, none of that. It's all figured in.
Okay, you're not listed here as a report, but did you want to give a report about it?
That would be it. That's probably the biggest thing here. Now, I will tell you, the cemetery, Blackwell's been out there, and they've already inserted some of the, what they call the big letter blocks, and they put down rebar in those areas so you'll have them marked all the time. We're working on it now. I think we're going to take 2-inch or 3-inch PVC, and I talked to them about this because they've got their stake already in the ground. We're going to dig around about maybe 6 or 8 inches with them and fill them with concrete, and then probably get a stamp and stamp them with the letter blocks on there. It'll save us a bunch of money because it's ridiculous what they want for the monuments to do that. And that'll allow us to find them, and they'll always say that we'll run them with a mower and everything. So it's coming along slowly, but it's coming along. They've already mapped out some things there and everything for us.
Did they readjust the intersections?
They're working on that. They're working on it. We have to readjust, yes. We have to readjust because of what I thought. Some of the roadways are full of graves, and the roadways is going to be moved. It's just juggling them around everywhere. And when we get done with that, I'll probably come back to the commission if we need to, and go ahead and take the roads. I talked to Lee about this. Taking the roads and milling the roads and rolling them and into the cemetery. So all the roads are where you can go pull up there and you'll know where the road is, not dirt and grass. It'll look like a cemetery. It'll look, roads you can pull in on the road, and it'll be right there for people to pull up there, and they know they can go there. So we've got a little plan. I'm going to work together with that to get that done. And one more thing is the hurricane guide that I was building, Becky, is done. I just got to put it together. It'll be in your boxes in the next couple of weeks. And that's what I would do when we run the hurricane on my end. That will coincide with whatever they do there, but they'll tweak it, but it's something to start with. And then I'll be working on a maintenance plan individually for each one of the buildings and the parks on a daily, monthly, and weekly thing.
Any more update on your the equipment that I saw you got out the road now?
Yes, we actually used the new Kubota the other day. We had a tree go down, and we were able to go out there and pick up the tree and get it off the road and get it out of the way when we couldn't do it before. And the UTVs are working out good. And I will be back next month for a dump truck.
Yes, sir.
You're warning that first.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that after I get my.
Back on the cemetery.
Yeah.
When they start getting ready to plot the gravesite locations and stuff like that, is there a way on the low road where you come in from Kick Lighter, you go and you drop down, is there a way along the west side to maybe create a parking area for vehicles?
I think it probably creates something down that area if we just take and say, we're not gonna sell the lots here. And I think we just take that out and just make a parking area. I think that would be a good idea. We don't have parking there to speak of. Everybody parks it, along there and everything else. So it's not a bad idea to plot out a section and make that just for parking. Not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, and more and more, I don't want to report it or not, but,
At that intersection also, when you come to the east side, I forget the name of the gravesite there, I dug it out once.
Yeah, I see
already.
that. I actually see that, yep.
Can we get what it would cost to put a retaining wall along that section of road with
Yeah.
handrails so
Yep.
that people,
Yep.
so that we'll put washing into that gravesite?
I'll work on that also.
Our hearts are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The maintenance that you just talked about on the water tower and stuff, we pay that per year?
Yeah,
How much is it?
we won't know. They're working on that now.
Oh, so we don't
We
know.
never had that before. We only did the hydro tank.
How much were those, do you know?
I can't tell you. It's the three of them. I forget what the maintenance plan is per year.
Yeah, that number is not here yet.
You need a motion on the water tower.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
And we do.
I make a motion that we go with the bid for the water tower repair and tenant installation. Let's come back with the big one, I want to see that.
Motion by Sager, second by Ms. Bishop. Question?
Am I missing the bid? Am I missing it? I haven't seen it.
It was something he made at, the comment he made at the beginning, wanted to add.
I actually received it at 4:45 this afternoon.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I didn't get it till 4:45 in my email box. They were working desperately to get this together, at least that far. Because we can't do anything with the water meters till we get that done. We got meters coming in, but they can't do anything until we get that equipment in and get it installed so we can be able to read them.
That was my question. What's the benefit of which is metering?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, please.
Did we have the vote? I don't know.
Motion?
Okay.
Motion a second, and she had a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a vote now. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
One no?
I would
She
like
wants
to
to
see
see
the
the
contract
contract.
before it.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to the work. I
Okay.
just don't feel comfortable.
It's probably a good idea.
We have a motion and second, and we have 3 yeses and 1 no. So move this back.
There's five.
Oh, I said it. Yes, that's myself. I counted myself.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next.
That's it?
Everybody, thank you for being out here this late. Thank you for all their participation, for your commissioners. Respect big work with you. I like you all. Love you. Bye. Roxanne, do I need to sign it?
Next one is to be expected.
No.
Excuse me.